Hi everybody, and welcome to today's webinar on CDP reporting, preparing for 2020, hosted by Greenstone and CDP. So I'm David Wynn, I'm the Head of Client Services at Greenstone, and I'm joined today by Emily Pepper, who's the Senior Technical Officer at CDP. In today's half-an-hour webinar, we're going to be going through CDP reporting and, importantly, preparing for 2020. Because we've only got half an hour on today's webinar, I would encourage you to send questions through using the GoToWebinar app on the side of the screen. So if you click onto that, please do send through any questions that you have, whether they be company-specific or generic questions related to CDP or anything wider. We will be circulating recording of today's webinar and also an FAQ document around to attendees. So please do send those questions through and we can be sure to answer them for yourselves and others on the call. So for those software solutions to organizations to enable them with their sustainability reporting, whether that be sustainability software within their business, their supply chain, and through the investor ESG space as well. So we've been providing software for over a decade and have been a CDP software partner as well. So in terms of today's agenda, I'm going to be passing over to Emily shortly to take us through the CDP content for today. So looking at the reporting timeline, the important information about what's changed in 2020, and then some insights on the future of CDP reporting area as well. And then I'll close out today. We'll have a look at some best practice examples of reporting, some tips as well for reporters, and then some case study information as well. Great. So that leaves me to just pass over the presentation to Emily, who's going to take us through the first part of today's agenda, which is looking at the CDP reporting timeline and what's new for 2020.
Thanks, David. I'm just going to share my screen. Okay. So for my part of the webinar, I'm going to start by looking back on the growth of disclosure and results from 2019. The rest of the presentation will be focused on the CDP climate change questionnaire. So I'll just give you a brief introduction for those of you who are new to it. I'll then give you an overview of the changes for 2020, and I'll talk in a little bit more detail about some of the key changes. Note that I'm not going to be covering scoring details today, as the 2020 scoring methodologies have not yet been published. So firstly, a look back on the growth of disclosure. This graph shows the number of companies disclosing to CDP from the first disclosure cycle in 2003 to last year. As you can see, disclosure has been increasing steadily year on year, with a jump of over 1,400 more companies disclosing in 2019. Over 8,400 companies disclosed last year overall, 8,360 to the climate change questionnaire, 2,433 to water security, and 543 to forests. As a result of the increase in disclosure numbers, over 30% more scores were awarded in 2019, reaching almost 16,000 in total across the three corporate questionnaires. 8,240 individual companies were scored, with over 200 receiving a score for all three questionnaires.